Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College's digital media program. Here, we want to thank the folks over at Sweet Bay for underwriting this show. So, Coach Phil Gaffney and I will talk about the Commodores' new season, kind of a strange start, where we're at, COVID. We're just now starting to talk about the panel conference race. Normally, we'd be halfway through it by now. But Commodores right now on fire, 3-0 overall, ranked number 2 in the state coaches poll, ranked 9th in the NJCAA national poll, I think averaging 99.7 points a game. They seem to be firing, Coach.
We're getting better. We're definitely getting better. Like you said, COVID has kind of made us all adjust to what we're doing. It's a new year. It's, getting our season pushed back to January 20th has been difficult, but I've heard a lot of people say you don't got to beat the other team, you got to beat COVID. So that's what we've done, is had to make all the adjustments to beat COVID. But right now, except for one half of basketball, we played against Florida Coastal Prep. I'm pretty happy with where we are and in the direction that we're headed.
And so now let's briefly talk about returning players from last year. Who did you bring back?
Right, we have 5 back from the state championship team, the region championship team, so we're pretty excited. So 3 starters, Trayvon Mayo, who made the all-regional team, and expect huge things out of him this year. Derek Harden was the starter, inside guy for us. Devontae Cook, our guy Tank, was also a starter, so 3 starters from that team. And 2 players who did a significant amount of work for us, Jamie Pierre-Louis and Kalen Marzette. Both played a lot last year. Jamie, of course, had a couple big games against Tallahassee there in the regionals. And we expect big things out of all 5 of them. They've really played well so far this year. They've stepped up their sophomore year, putting up much better numbers than they did last year. So we're excited. I generally only have 1 or 2 back. We get a lot of Division I transfers. We move them on after a year. But having 5 guys back and a red shirt, Samuel Compier from here at Bay High, 6 guys back who kind of know what we're doing. It's made it really nice for us.
And so in that case, and they played in a panel conference, because a lot of times explaining to a freshman or someone that just transferred in what it's like to play in a panel conference is totally different than playing in the panel conference. So.
Absolutely. And this year, I think it's crazy we play 3 times. We're actually playing 4 times. And so what you just said is the most important thing. We're going to get beat up. We're going to go against competition every single night. And if you're kind of used to it, it makes it a lot easier. And those 5 are used to it.
Now, let's talk about new players this year.
Well, we're fortunate. We got a really good freshman class. Obviously, it's going to take them time, and they don't have the normal time of coming in and having a semester and then playing the Panhandle. They're getting thrown right into it. But Roman Wilson was a 4-star recruit who's a big old 6'10 guy, very skilled. He hasn't played in a while, so he's probably our highest on paper. But Demarion Hall, known as Tay Hall, he stepped right out of the gate and played outstanding for us as a backup big. Damon Brown is backup guard for us. Gosh, he had 27 in his first game. So, boy, you can't get better than that. It's all downhill from there. But he's just played tremendous for us. We have Trayshawn Wilson, who's a highly regarded player at high school. Unfortunately, he's had a knee injury, so we haven't been able to get him in yet. Samuel Compier was with us last year as a redshirt, but he is a freshman. Got to practice a whole year with us, learn the system, see what the Panhandle's like. So he's doing a really good job for us. So basically, that core group of freshmen are going to be the ones who are really going to help us. We do have a D1 transfer from Niagara University, Damani Thomas. He's made a great impact on us. Just a leadership guy, done a wonderful job for us. So even though he's not a freshman, he's a new guy, and he's going to get a significant amount of playing time. So those guys coming off the bench, we have a really, really good group. And we signed a man, Dwar Chicolo, at the break. He wasn't with us, but we signed him, 6'7" man from Northern Virginia, Nova, and a nice player. Just he's behind only because he just got here in January. But we feel good about our group and the freshman class.
So, and let's talk a little bit about the rest of the panel conference. How well, who do we watch for this year other than everybody?
Well, Donnie Tyndall, we play Chipola coming up, and here's a guy who set all the records at Southern Miss and was at an SEC in Tennessee. So and he can just coach. He's a great coach, and so he's going to do a great job. I've seen his teams play so far, outstanding. Butch Pierre over at Northwest Florida, heck, he's been at every high major in the country. He was an interim at LSU. So you got 2 former SEC coaches coaching. Zach at Tallahassee, nobody works harder on the recruiting trail. He's a good coach and just unbelievable. Just great recruiter, unbelievable. And then Pete down at Penna down at Pensacola, he's just every year. He's kind of the dean of the conference. He's been here longer than everybody else. So great coaches, and everybody just seems super talented this year. Zach at September at Tallahassee just reloaded. They have just high major after high major. They sent 9 guys D1 last year, and the guy coming back is the #1 player in JUCO. He signed with Louisville for next year. So everybody's loaded. Northwest Florida got the Gaffney, no relation kid from Ohio State. He's another 4 or 5-star recruit. So I expect every night to be just a battle and going up against great talent and great coaches.
So, all right. Well, Commodores played 3 games thus far and won all of them. And because this is a short thing, let's talk about. We played Pasco Hernando, won 111-70, scored 49 points first half and 62 points second half. A lot of offense that game, Coach.
Yeah, we've already had 2 60-point halves, so that's crazy. But in that game, it was first game, away game, on the road, and against well-coached Pasco team. So that was they had played 3 games. I think they were 2-1 coming in, something like that. So it was good for us to go down, play against somebody who's played some games, and just get our feet wet. And I thought we did a real good job getting up and down the floor, obviously scoring 111 points.
So, and if you look at that, Brown led all scorers with 26, Mayo behind him with 21, Cook with 19, and Marzetti with 17. All nice games.
Great balance.
So if we look at the game, 13 turnovers, opening game, that's a good number.
Not when you score 62 and a half and you score 111 for a game, because how we play, and we're up and down and getting out and running. We're trying to force you into 30 turnovers.
And they had 30 turnovers. So in that game, that's where that is. From the floor, we shot 52.7% behind the three-point arc, 32%, 61% from the free throw line.
Yeah, free throw has to improve, but you're pretty happy. And anytime you shoot over 50% for the game, that's pretty darn good.
Yep. So can't complain about that other than the free throw line.
Yep.
Because some nights that could be the difference.
Absolutely.
And so they say if it's a really close score, whoever shot best from the free throw line usually wins.
That's true.
So, and then we had Florida Coastal Prep come in, won that game 88-74, but that's a much better Florida Coastal Prep than we played last year.
Yeah, very good team, and normally we'd play them in November, and they may have played 3 or 4 games. I think they played 20-25 games, so they were seasoned. We were in game number 2, and they had played a few. And Lee does a great job over there. He's had prep schools before that were high ranked. So I think last year was his first year, and as they get going, he'll get it going. Well, they'll be better and better and better. So great first half. We start off the game 13-0. Just second half, we played poorly, and a lot of that was due to they did a good job defending us. So,
and they came back and actually won the second half 43-42. And we turned the ball over 17 times in that game. Much better from the free throw line, though, 81%.
We shot the ball exceptionally well at the free throw line, the three-point line, and the field, but way too many turnovers, and defense was lacking.
So 50% from the floor, 50% behind the three-point arc. You got to love those numbers.
Not gonna get better than that.
So in that case, and then we rounded it out. We picked up a game with Miami-Dade because everything's shifting and changing and doing and we won 100-80, 60 points the first half, 40 points the second half, won both halves of basketball.
Yeah, that was our home game in the Florida Shootout, was to drive 4 hours to Jacksonville, Florida. Kevin Ledoux does a great job at Miami-Dade. He's a great coach, and they play like we do, James. So imagine being the statistician trying to figure that one out. So it was up and down affair. I think it was 60-45 at the half, 105 in one half between two teams. Just crazy. Great game for us. We really it was great. It really got us in shape because we have guys coming off COVID, and they haven't played a lot and they sat out. So any games will help, but boy, that Miami-Dade game, if you're not in shape after that game, I don't know what will get you there.
So, and y'all turned them over 25 times. They turned us over 12. So that's that coastal chaos we kind of hang our hat on.
That is exactly what we hang our hat on, and we did a real good job this year so far of making people turn the ball over.
So, and if we look at scoring from the floor, 60% from the free throw line again, 38.7 behind the arc, and 46.9 from the floor. So rounds out 3 games, and then what happens is you get ready to start off this week. But let's talk before we talk about what we're going to do Wednesday. Panhandle Conference standing: Tallahassee Community College 4-0, Gulf Coast State College 3-0, Chipola 5-1, Northwest Florida State College 3-2, and Pensacola State College 1-3. So that's the Panhandle Conference standings right now, which is a little unusual because normally almost everybody's unbeaten at this time. But COVID playing and doing it, having its effect, is affecting that. State coaches poll: Tallahassee's ranked 1, Gulf Coast 2, Indian River 3, Chipola 4, Florida Southwestern 5, State College at Florida 6, Northwest Florida State College at 7, St. Pete at 8, Santa Fe at 9, and Polk at 10th. And a little unusual that normally at this time of season we'd still see Pensacola in that top 10. So that's kind of where we are there. Quickly, we'll talk about the national poll just for a little bit. Chipola right now, that poll will come out again, so we're expecting some changes, but we shoot this before the poll comes out later today. Tallahassee's 3rd, Florida Southwestern is 7th, Gulf Coast is 9th, and Northwest Florida State College is 23rd. But we anticipate moving up some, Coach.
Absolutely. With the, we were second in the poll, in the preseason poll, and I was kind of surprised at that, having 5 guys back. Tally had 1 back. Now, Tally's a great team, but on paper we had 5 guys back from the state champion. So that was a little surprising. And then we won by 40, and we dropped 2 spots to number 4 in the state. So I don't know what the coaches were thinking, but everybody has their own way of thinking. And this week we came back up to number 2. So I'd anticipate we'd probably be maybe 6 or 7, 5, 6, 7 in there. But you're talking about all those teams. Last year there were 20 teams. We had to beat out 19 other teams to win it, which we did, which is pretty incredible. This year it's dropped down to 17. 3 teams are not playing in the Division I, JUCO in Florida anymore, but it's still incredible. That list that you just rattled off, there's still 17 really good teams that you got to beat. So at this point in time, the polls really have no effect. Nobody cares. It's really about who's going to get to the state tournament and who's going to win it. That's what it's all about.
An important game. We open Panhandle Conference Wednesday night, Billy Harrison Fieldhouse. Women play at 5:30, men play at 7:30, and we open against Chipola. Chipola 5-1, ranked 4th in the state coaches poll. 19 players on their roster. We've already talked about their coaching staff. But we have 2 important games this week. We play Chipola Wednesday, and then we have Tallahassee coming to town on Saturday. And those are 2 home games we have to protect, Coach.
Yeah, and I don't know that, no disrespect to Northwest Florida because they're loaded, and Pensacola because they do a good job, but I don't know that they're not 1 and 2, maybe the 2 best teams in the state. So we got to figure it out and get ready and game plan for those guys because 2 great coaches, 2 talented teams, long, athletic, quick, shoot it. So you got to win all your home games in the Panhandle if you want to go to the state tournament. If you want to win the Panhandle, win your home, split on the road, and you'll be fine, which would be a 12-4 record for us or for anybody on the 16 Panhandle games. So that's really what we're shooting for, and can't lose at home. You got to take care of business at home, and unfortunately, we got the two best right off the get-go, I think. So that's going to make it difficult.
Well, one last question: would you have these 2 teams at home first, or been at their place?
Well, there's probably a little bit less pressure playing at their place, so I would probably like to start on the road. We played Chipola away. Start last year, played Northwest Florida away. But because you're not supposed to win when you're playing on the road, but we'll play at home and we'll take it as it comes.
So and going to play everybody 4 times this year. We're going to beat each other up and try to get to that state tournament, and then you get you a chance to maybe go to Hutch this year if they don't cancel on you again, Coach.
That's right. And the nice part is 3 teams do make it this year, most likely from our conference, the state tournament. So with the not being 20 teams, only 17, I think we'll get 3 teams there this year. Normally only 2 make it from the Panhandle. So heck, if you can't get in the top 3, you don't deserve to go to the state tournament. But if you can get in that top 3, anything can happen in that state tournament, as you've seen over the years, James.
So, that's Coach Phil Gaffney. I'm James Paxley. I'll be right back, Commodore fans, with Coach Petree, and we'll talk about how the women are doing and their big games coming up this week on the Commodore Sports Network.
Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
Welcome back, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner. Coach Cayla Petree and I'll talk about the Lady Commodores. First, we have to say welcome, Coach. First year coming in coaching at Gulf Coast. So welcome to Gulf Coast.
Happy to be here.
So Lady Commodores right now, 2-0 overall. Ranked number 2 in the state coaches poll, ranked 4th in the NJCAA national poll. So a little different year because of COVID. Normally we'd be halfway through the conference race by now, and we're talking about this week just starting it. So COVID has pushed things around a little bit for you coaches, but Lady Commodores thus far are playing well. Let's talk about who came back from last year.
Big time post player, Tatiana Jones. She's a little bit undersized, but she's maybe the most competitive post player that I've ever coached. I mean, she loves to play basketball and she plays hard, and she might be the strongest. So anything that she makes up for in height, or anything she lacks in height, she makes up for in effort. And she's just having a great year, averaging a double-double, 13 and 11, shooting a great percentage from the field. And so happy to have her back. LeBou Sis, another post player, she saw limited action last year, had a back injury, but she's been really committed in the weight room and in the training room, keeping herself healthy, getting that back and those core muscles strengthened so she can be what we need her to be. And she's averaging about 10 and 7. And then Layla Grant, 3-point shooter, she was out last year, had big numbers first 4 or 5 games, and then came off the knee injury. And so those 3 returners are a big part of what we do, and they're healthy this year, so that's good.
And Jones now also learning how to play under control, not pick up fouls. Because used to she pick up fouls pretty quickly, and the game we played at home, she didn't even pick up a foul till the 4th quarter.
It's funny that you say that, because as soon as I took the job, I was excited to coach her. I was, talked about Tot, and everybody said, yeah, if you can just keep her out of foul trouble, and that was everyone's concern. And so we've just talked about it from day one, and that's all on her, that discipline and that growth from the first year to the second year. Well, the one thing I think she's trying not to do is block as many shots. She's trying to be disciplined and just wall up and make somebody score over her, which is very, very difficult to do.
So in that case, and most of them were hustle fouls. They were not like do that. So now let's talk about new players, new faces.
Nia Daniel, transfer from the University of North Carolina. She may be one of the best players in the country. She's got a unique skill set. She can play inside and out. Currently, she's averaging 28 points and 7 rebounds. She had 36 against Central Georgia Tech. The big thing for our entire team is production and efficiency. We look at a lot of what you do, what you score, but how you do it. So her big challenge is we want her to take good shots that are high percentage shots, not just shots that because she's more athletic and because she can jump up over someone that might not be a high percentage. We want her to be patient and get those higher percentage shots. But so far she's doing a great job. 54% from the field, averaging that many points is big time. And I'm just really, really pleased with her. McKaylin Glover is a freshman out of Athens area. Little bit just kind of got a chip on her shoulder, plays really hard, played really well the second game. She was injured the first semester, and so she's just kind of getting into her groove now, but made, I think, 3 or 4 threes against Central Georgia. And Cabria Lewis, big addition for us from Florida Southwestern. She played for them last year, transferred in at the break, and she is averaging 11 points, 3 assists, 54%, kind of taking over the point guard for us.
So, and we like her in Commodore Blue much better because Herman and I, we saw her play last year, and so a good player there. So Commodores opened at home against Florida State College at Jacksonville, won all 4 quarters. One of the things we have to talk about is in the second quarter they scored 4 points.
Well, we take a lot of pride in our defense. That first quarter, Jacksonville, they were exchanging blows. I mean, we were down, and so we just talked about locking up and not fouling, not giving up secondary shots. That's going to be an issue for us, and so we're trying to address that, but just giving up points off of the free throw line and off secondary shots. But I'm happy with where we are.
So, and in that case, fourth quarter, normally when players are tired, they still held them to 10 points. So a great defensive effort. If we look at the game by the quarters, 22-19, and then second quarter, 27-4, 28-18, and 29-10 for a 106-51 victory. So like
we're going to always try to have a little gas left in the tank for the fourth quarter. So I didn't really look at those breakdowns. But that's good to know.
So in that case, you know, it's a lot harder to play the fourth quarter than it is to play the first quarter.
Absolutely.
And that's what I used to. We tried to coach to play the fourth quarter every quarter. Mm-hmm. You know, that way there is no big difference. And the Lady Commodore showed that night. If we look at scoring, like you said, Jones with a double-double, 18 points, 17 rebounds. And Miller with a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds.
Was happy for her. We got to keep her out of foul trouble. She's averaging 9.5 fouls per game. We've played 2, so.
So in that case, that's something to look at. Daniel, you talked about that night had 23, and then Gibbs with 11, and then Sis with 13 points.
We were really good inside that first game.
And she had a double-double, about to jip her, but you know she had 11 boards on top of that. So in that case, a good game. We turned the ball over 14 times.
That's good. Can't be mad about that first game with
game,
not playing in almost a year. So that's very good. You know, I think as a team we're right now about 18 a game, so that's good. We'd like to get it down a little bit.
So from the floor, we shot 49.4%. Anytime you're shooting 50% from the floor, that's a pretty good night. 35.3 from behind the arc and 69.2 from the free throw line.
Pretty good.
So
one thing we try to do is be a 180 team. We want to have 60 from the field, 40 from the three-point line, and 80 from the free throw. So as close as we can get to that's always good.
So in other words, you're always trying to score 100 or more.
I like to run the ball. We want to play. We want to play fast and get up and down.
The spectators are going to get their money's worth.
I sure hope so. We'll play however we have to play to win, but ideally we like to go.
Yeah, so they like to go, and traditionally Lady Commodores like to go. They like to get up and down the floor. They want to see if you can play at their pace. Right. And they're going to set that pace and make you play there. Then some of the games with COVID and all got shuffled and moved around, and so we had to pick up a game with Central Georgia Technical College. Won that one 93-75. 4 quarters, won 3 of them. In the fourth quarter, we tied 22-22. So still a 93-point night that night.
You know, I thought we kind of came out a little lethargic that first half. I don't know if it was the road trip or I don't know what it was, but we didn't play bad. We just didn't seem to have that fire that I would like us to have. And so the ladies did a great job of coming back third quarter. They responded. I thought they played as hard as any team in the country. I thought we looked we looked like Gulf Coast should look, that competitive spirit, the sharing the basketball, toughness. And so I was happy with our efforts the second half.
So, and if we look at scoring, Daniels 33 that night, Lewis with 13, Grant with 13, Glover with 12. And if you take that 3 and 7 players all scoring that night pretty evenly.
That's one of the strengths of our team is our balanced scoring. You know, I was saying that McKaylin was really coming on. They even took a 3 away from her, so she would have had 15. I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but just really happy to see some different people step up and score.
Then if we look at that, now we turn it over 23 times. Is that first half versus the second half?
I think so, and then credit to Central Georgia. They play extremely hard. We were a little bit mismatched size-wise. They were very, very small and very, very quick, and so we had to adjust. You know, normally we kind of have that 3 out, 2 in lineup, and so that just wasn't a good matchup for us. But when we went 4 guards to their 4 guards, we were fine.
They turned it over 22 times. So look at Lady Commodores, 52.9% from the floor, 37.5 from behind the arc, 62.5 from the free throw line. A little slim on the free throw line.
Yep, got to get that better. Have to get that better.
So, you know, because they say a game that's won by only a few points is normally won from the free throw line.
Absolutely.
And Herman and I, we've been over at the table going, oh, we need this free throw tonight. We need this one tonight.
I told you that story about my mom asking me one time, Kayla, do y'all practice free throws? No, Mom, we haven't that much, but I guess we'll start. That's a joke, by the way, but no.
All of them do that. And, you know, when you talk about practicing, it's one thing to shoot them when you're rested. It's another thing to shoot them when you're dead tired.
And then with the pressure.
And then the pressure of it. So the only way you can simulate that in practice is every miss is a run. So that simulates the pressure in a game. Missing it means you just missed it in front of everybody.
And sometimes that still doesn't work.
So, and like you said, you still can't buy them some night. Let's look at Panhandle Conference standings thus far. Northwest Florida State College 4-0, Chipola 2-0, Gulf Coast State College 2-0, Tallahassee 1-1, and Pensacola State College 0-2, which is a little unusual for this time of year because normally all the Panhandle Conference teams right now are all undefeated, looking at going into the Panhandle Conference race.
Which just been such a unique year. You know, we've known all year that, or not all year, forever, that the Panhandle Conference is, you know, the toughest in the country. And so not taking anybody lightly, with us going to have to play them 4 times, that's going to be difficult. You know, we might be one of the top 5 teams in the country, but that's all relative to who you play. And if you're playing, you know, the top 3 in the country eight times, that can be tough. So our big focus will be just to win the next game, and every game will be a big game for us.
So in that case, we run down the state coaches poll: Northwest 1, Chipola 2, Gulf Coast 3, Eastern Florida 4, Florida Southwestern 5, Indian River 6, Daytona State 7, Tallahassee is 8th, Miami-Dade is 9th, and Pensacola State is 10th.
Indian River's probably going to jump up a little bit. They played Northwest Florida within 5, forced a lot of turnovers, and I believe they beat Tallahassee. I think so.
So in that case, quickly we'll run down the national poll for far as teams in the state of Florida. Northwest Florida right now is ranked, and a new poll will come out.
Today, yes, sir.
We always tape beforehand. So at this time, Northwest is 2, Chipola's 4, Gulf Coast is 9th, Florida Southwestern's 13th, Eastern Florida State is 21st, and Daytona State receiving votes. Now, Coach, Wednesday night, we open Panhandle Conference race against Chipola. Chipola 2-0 right now, ranked number 2 in the state coaches poll, ranked 4th in the NJCA national poll. Welcome to the Panhandle Conference. So that's your home opener in the Panhandle Conference race.
Well, I tell you what, you know, the transition from Coach Scoville to me it's been unbelievable, and everything's been positive. But she has left me one thing that I've been dreading. I believe the last time they played Chipola, the score got a little bit lopsided in favor of Gulf Coast. So I sure hope, I mean, I know everybody's always competitive every night, but I hope there's no revenge trying to be paid that old Coach Franklin's going to try to get after us more so than normal because of that game last year. But we're looking forward to playing. I've watched both their films. They're a talented team. They're extremely long. You know, it's the same story, different year of how they play. A lot of pressure, a lot of deflections, use that length, try to come trap. I do think that there will be a couple of maybe things that we can exploit to our benefit, and then obviously there'll be some things that we're going to have to be aware of and try to make sure we don't let it run away. But I think it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I know we can't have fans, but I sure hope our people at home are watching.
So we're really out of time. So that's opener. Lady Commodores open Wednesday at 5:30, and the Lady Commodores will play at 2 o'clock on Saturday against Tallahassee Community College, another big game. So
yes, sir.
So back to back. For Coach Petree, I'm Jamie Spaxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.